there's some Revelator songs that I'm like, man, we got to bring those back. But we've done so many songs and albums. There's like so much to choose from that I guess we don't think about it all the time.
We need to get you a really good slide player in Nashville, and you guys need to cover a Derek Trucks song.
You know, he told me Susan wrote the song, which he was proud of. He said that with great pride, you know, the way you say nice things about your family.
From the first note with Tedeschi Trucks, they just blow you away.
Yes, we will. I wouldn't argue with anyone that says that could be my favorite song on I Am the Moon.
He, signs my ticket, and I look over at Susan. I say, Susan, would you sign it too? And she goes, oh, heck yeah.
Kevin calls me and was like, hey, man, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. He was like, Derek wants to record some tuba stuff. I said, when do you want to do it? And he was like, let's do it Wednesday.
It was Midnight Harlem. And it caught our attention, man. And we started diving deep, and we're like, okay, we got to see these guys.
What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 133, and I am Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and on YouTube, just search Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. If you're watching, you're already there, so please be sure to subscribe, give likes, shares, comments, all that stuff is appreciated. I'm at Adam Choit on Twitter and Instagram if you'd like to follow me. TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com has all the links to this show, ways to subscribe, and links to the band stuff and all that. I'll share the links again later, of course. AdamChoit.com for all my personal stuff and my personal social media and links to everything else I'm working on. I wanted to recap the Japan shows. What did they do? 6, 4, 8 shows? Somewhere in that range, but I wasn't able to connect with anyone, any fans who were there. But some of the music that I heard that was put out there, either on video on YouTube or on archive.org, there were a couple of shows that were posted, and those were super awesome, and that was appreciated. And it's interesting to hear the fans' reaction in Japan versus just listening to audio on to a show recorded here in the States. It's just a different vibe, but it was total. The band just continues to be on fire no matter what continent they're on, and of course we'll get more into that. The band is making the round. Well, Derek and Susan have been making the rounds a little bit. I saw Susan was on Marty Schwartz's podcast, Guitar Guru Teacher. I love his stuff. I haven't been able to dive as much into guitar lessons as I'd like to lately, but I got to check that out, as well as Derek and Susan's appearance on O'Teal's Comes a Time podcast. So much good stuff out there. Honestly, I'm just like always listening to the music. I'm like, I don't have the patience to listen to another podcast unless I'm talking on my own. I'd rather just either be listening to DTB or talking about them myself. So I'm always diving into the music, but I do want to get into today's episode, recapping the band, filling in, from what I understand, for Steely Dan, opening for the Eagles at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. And frequent contributor to this show, David Flamm, was at Thursday night's show, which was, I got the date here on the set list. We'll get into all those details. But they also played last night on Saturday, and obviously this is Sunday, recording this live stream. Sunday, the 5th? I don't know. Where'd my phone go? It's somewhere here. Anyway, let's just bring in David, and we're going to get into TTB opening for the Eagles, another arena show, if you will. So let's do it. How we doing, my friend?
I am doing well, Adam. Thank you so much for having me come on again. It's good to be here. Sorry we couldn't get some other Atlanta fans. I know there was a number of big TTB Atlanta fans that were at both of those shows, and some of them are just a little camera shy, I guess.
Yeah, I get it. I understand that, and not everyone is a public figure or open to being, hopping on a live stream and stuff like that, and I wish I could somehow maybe do more outreach in advance or something like that. But it's been totally awesome to connect with so many fans, and I appreciate you coming on again. I don't know why you keep agreeing to do this and volunteering yourself, but you go to so many shows, so who better than someone who's going to so many and has such a unique perspective on the band and all their different performances, just because you've been to so many.
Well, I love, it's one of my favorite subjects to talk about, and you mentioned kind of on your intro there the Japan shows, and I walk 4 miles every morning, and I have my my earbuds in, and I'm always listening to live TTB music every morning. So those folks over there that recorded those shows and grabbed them on YouTube, I think all 4 of the Tokyo shows have kept me busy on my morning walk. So I've been really diving into that pretty deep and going through that a good bit. So it's kept me going when we thought we had a lot of downtime, and I guess thanks to Steely Dan not being able to perform for the Eagles, we did get a couple of surprise shows here at the last minute in Atlanta.
Right. But before we get into that, what did you think of listening to some of those Japan shows? I mean, they've been to Japan at least 2 times, I think, since I've been following the band, I think. So I've heard some of the crowd reaction to the band, but the crowd does sort of clap in a different manner that North American or even European audiences might clap. And some of the timing when they react and what they react to is a little bit different. We kind of Tedeschi Trucks Band or North American fans might clap or get into it after the solo is done, saying great solo. They will maybe more at the beginning. I don't know. It was just interesting to follow the reaction of that.
I had the exact same thought. When Susan would sing or somebody sing the first line of a song, they would clap at the first lyric of the song, or
right.
Or at the beginning of the guitar solo, they would clap,
Right. A clap. Exactly. Whereas at the beginning of a Derek solo or a beginning of a Susan coming in with a lyric or a vocal, some random people just yell, woo, woo, yeah, hell yeah. Or just yell random things, and people maybe cheer quickly, but in unison golf type clap, when you first hear, a new part of a song is kind of interesting. Let's get into the show on Thursday. Tell me about I guess set it up. How far did you travel for the show? I do have a picture of the arena. It's another arena show.
Yeah, State Farm Arena. It's where the Atlanta Hawks play basketball. It's where they host a lot of the big concerts. It's right next to Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the Falcons play. So they're basically adjacent to each other. The State Farm Arena sits on the property where I actually saw my first concerts back in 1973, when that building was initially called the Omni. That was torn down on that site, and then they built this arena, and it's these days it goes by different corporate names. Every couple of years it changes names, but it was originally the Omni here in Atlanta, and where all the big shows were held starting in 1973. It was finally the first kind of big arena in Atlanta. Before that, they were held in there was Atlanta Municipal Auditorium, the Alexander Memorial Coliseum on the campus of Georgia Tech, places like that where shows were played until the Omni showed up. And I saw my first show in there in 73, which was Alice Cooper, and I saw the Who with Leonard Skinner opening for them in that building in November of 73. A couple of the first concerts I ever went to when I was just a youngster.
Did you say the State Farm Arena, that's the Omni renovated, or they knocked down the Omni?
Totally knocked it down. Totally.
Okay, so this is a new arena on the same site. I got you.
On the same exact site. They totally knocked it down and built this. And like I said, it's just had several different names as they, keep corporately, changing and getting money from different folks to put it on. But, I first heard about, that TTB got the call, I guess. I don't remember what day it was. Maybe it was Monday of last week or something. But Bob Tees had posted something on Facebook or something, given
Bob Tease for the purposes of this post that I think you're referring to, like basically teasing the band that the band would be opening for the Eagles.
Yeah, and posted some on Facebook. He put out a couple of clues or whatever, and started kind of searching around. And Ann and I had plans to go out of town this weekend, so we had booked going up to the North Georgia mountains to see the leaves and all. So we were, maybe not going to be around, but we kind of scrambled and found out that they were going to open for the Eagles on Thursday and Saturday night. So, and I think the Eagles were, from what I recall, one of the first bands to really charge some what I thought were outrageous prices, for regular tickets, to shows. So I knew it was going to be an expensive, foray into looking at tickets, but there was no way that Ann and I were not going to be in that building Thursday night to celebrate, TTB playing, in that arena, being able to expose themselves to, 12, 15,000 basically new fans, and talking to some other fans. And they've got a big following here in Atlanta, as you know, Adam. You went to a couple of shows at the Fox, which holds 5,000, and they sell that out, 2 nights, every year when they come through, usually on Wheels of Soul, usually in the summer, they come through and play 2 nights in the Fox. So I was excited and real excited for them to play this arena where I've seen so many shows. And so just kind of looking for tickets, right? And getting on Ticketmaster and checking out different sites, checking the prices, seeing what's going on. It was, I think a friend of mine texted me, said, it was $9,000 for, a couple of front row seats. And I said, I don't think I'll be as close to the band as usual on this occasion, but definitely going to be in the building. I actually bought tickets on Ticketmaster. I think I purchased them at 5:00, and the band was going on at 7:30. So I purchased them at 5:00. We drove down. The arena's, right in downtown Atlanta. So for us, 30 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic, and wanted to kind of get there early. Just wasn't, wanted to kind of see what was going to happen. Were fans going to get there at 7:30, to hear TTB, or were they going to come a little bit late? I think it was pretty well known, the Eagles play the same show every night. They're going to come on at 9:00. They're going to finish at 11. You can see things on the internet, so you pretty much know what's going on. So we grabbed tickets and we headed down there, and it was, I hadn't been to that arena for a while, and it was big lines to get in. A lot of Eagles fans, and Ann and I wore. I guess I didn't send you the picture. I posted it. We wore.
Let me grab that one. I know the one with you guys with the set list.
Yeah, we wore our TTB tie-dye shirts, and we did get a couple of comments from some fans. One guy said, "Man, this is the best shirt in the building." Couple of people came up where we were sitting, and we were side stage over on Brandon and the singer's side. We were side stage in the lower level. So it was really in a good spot. We ended up in a good spot, and a couple of people around us, said, "Hey," and, people were talking about the Eagles. And I said, we had no plans to go see an Eagles concert. I saw them first in 1975. I looked up the ticket. It was $6 for a general admission show in Atlanta in 1975. And people, it looked like they were paying thousands of dollars to sit anywhere near the front. We actually ended up getting a pair that was a little below face over on the, like I say, side stage. Stage was very open, so we could see very, very well. But there was a lot of people. We walked by like the the merch area for the Eagles. That line must have been 250 people long. I mean, it was ridiculous. People trying to buy merchandise and stuff. It was, there was a pretty big buzz about, and like I said, a few people around us talking about, wanting to see TTB. There was a guy down the road from us. He kept yelling Derek's name a few times. So I guess obviously he knew what he was, going to see. But that kind of took us in the building, I guess, the build up.
It was a member of Steely Dan who was sick or unavailable or something. There was some reason that's why Steely Dan had a back out for health reasons. Because it's funny that, or not funny, but it's interesting to hear you talk about or remind me that Atlanta is, and obviously the Southeast, how extra popular Tedeschi Trucks Band is. So I'm guessing that was definitely part of the strategy, for the Eagles. Like, who's a band that we can get to, fill in this city in the Southeast? Like, oh, Tedeschi Trucks Band has a big following and they could bring in people, and it makes sense musically, obviously, as well, to some degree. So it's, the fit is not completely out of left field or anything like that, but it caught, I feel like, kind of everyone, especially fans, kind of off guard, as we have seen a lot of the comments, in our circles are obviously very pro Tedeschi Trucks Band, and even to the point of sometimes poking fun at the Eagles and saying, TTB should be opening for TTB. Yeah. If I went, I would leave after TTB set. And, people are just joking around and whatnot, but we have our favorite. We've made our choice who our favorite is.
Absolutely, and like I said, we knew probably a dozen or so, people, like us here in Atlanta that bought tickets at the last minute because, TTB was added to the show.
It's too hard to pass up. It's like you're getting like, what would you get, like a 45-minute set? That's 8 song, 10, whatever it is. It's like too hard to like pass that up. If like they were doing like a quick 2-song thing for like a TV show, and it would have been your whole day, but like you can't miss a TTB set, a full pretty full type set in your own hometown.
Absolutely, you're right. I think they were both nights. They were 8-song set list, and they played about an hour. I think they got an hour. They got an hour slot from 7:30 to 8:30. So like I said, there were some people that, we had some friends that were all kind of talking and scrambling for tickets and trying to buy, and, what, where are you going to try to sit, this, that, the other. Some people I know I had a friend that offered me, it was the very top row on the third level, the very last row.
That's not where you want to be. I mean, I'm willing to be, wherever, get me in the building, for certain situations and times. But you got to do better. I know.
I said I really appreciate the offer, but I don't think that seat's going to be for for us. So we were fortunate to do a bit better and get on the side. The first thing I noticed when we walked in was how open, the stage was, somewhat similar to Madison Square Garden in the TD Garden in Boston. It was very open, so you could see on the side, but they did have, a big block on the back, so you couldn't have anybody behind the stage or anything like that. But you can see, so behind us, so you can see it's very open on the sides, which was great.
This was kind of, is that what you were saying? Kind of like how it was at the the garden parties. You see, it reminded me of that. Yeah, because there was, it's almost like we forgot, we all like forgot that, like, oh, in an arena show, we're gonna be so far. But part of that is also getting sort of a newer sight line, a different perspective, and a wider shot from the side of the band, a depth shot from the side, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So I thought one of the first things that caught my eye was they were really given all of kind of the Eagles, equipment to work with, right? The lighting, They got all the screens, the cameramen that were, on foot, some of the mechanical camera arms that they had. So they were able to make use of all the Eagles, equipment, which was, tremendous. I mean, Tedeschi Trucks Band was just lit up, on the big screen behind them the whole time. And on either side, you had pictures of, whoever was soloing and different things like that. It was just really, I thought it was very nice the way the Eagles, kind of opened up to TTB to be able to use, everything that they were using for their set as well. So I thought that was really exciting. And then, getting into the set list, it was kind of obviously a few folks that were, talking about before, what are they going to play? Are they, is, Derek going to sit in with the Eagles? Is somebody going to sit in with them? Are they going to, do all originals? What would they pull out? What would they try to feature? There was kind of some talk like that. But, I thought the set was, anyhow, to start was, amazing. Love that song. Love that song. Has certainly a lot of meaning for my family. And so great opener. I would say maybe it was 3/4 full when they started. And I think by probably the third song, I think the place was full. It was, the only tickets were available were on the secondary market. The Eagles, pulled them in. They were playing 2 nights. Obviously they had sold a lot of tickets, but it was nice that, the stands, I thought, the seats were full by the third song. And as we can see, they went through, 3 originals to start. Playing with My Emotions was the only song they played both nights. So they did duplicate that, but the other 7 songs were different the second night. We can talk about that. We've seen some videos and like I said, a number of people that were there Saturday night as well. Unfortunately, like I said, Ann and I were scheduled to be out of town, and we definitely had the fear of missing out on Saturday night. But interesting cover choices. Bell Bottom Blues, I thought was an interesting cover choice. Obviously well done. Part of Me. And then I think by the time they got to How Blue Can You Get, I think the crowd had been pretty much won over by then. We know how Susan kills it on How Blue Can You Get, and it just you'd see people standing up during the songs, big applause after each song. I guess if and when they play Atlanta again, tickets might even be harder to come by than they were last year.
I believe that. Yeah, I guess it makes sense that they would play something like a Bell Bottom Blues, and maybe not surprising because they want to expose their music and some of their newer music, I'm sure, to newer fans. But a lot, the Eagles are a band that's been around since the late 60s, early 70s. When did they form? The Eagles?
I think probably early 70s might have been their first. Yep.
Right. So they're gonna. So their fans are gonna know a lot of the covers, obviously, that TTB does from music of that era. 1971, the band formed.
Is that what? Yeah. I love the Atlanta fans. I think they're great music fans in Atlanta. So they are appreciative again of, I guess, all types of music. But I grew up on what became classic rock and roll, and I think Atlanta has always supported the big time bands and then the small clubs that we have in Atlanta as well support rock and blues and jazz. Country, all kinds of music. Atlanta's just a good music town, and we know, a number of members of the band, call Atlanta home. So, it's just a good music town.
Is there a moment or an example that you can give me of someone who like probably you saw in the show or something that like never heard of Tedeschi Trucks Band or didn't know what they were in for, and then like you could see like, oh, you were able to like witness people getting it or getting into the music or going through that journey of like discovering the band? How did that kind of play itself out? Like the people who didn't previously know the band, were you able to observe like people reactions?
It wasn't, I wouldn't say that was easy to do, Adam. We had, again, there was a guy down the road from us who I'm assuming at least knew of Derek, and he was up pretty much the whole time yelling Derek's name. There was a couple sitting behind us who obviously came for the Eagles. They had their Eagles shirts on and stuff. And we chatted a little bit before because of the shirts that we had on. And I did ask him after the set, and I said, so what did you think? And he said, just blown away. I mean, to see a 12-piece band out, I mean, you wouldn't see that normally for an opener to have such an expansive musicianship, on the stage. So, that was about all we really got to talk to. Again, it was an Eagles crowd, I mean, TTB was brought on, 3 days before maybe or something. So, there's just a handful of people that came for that. But I mean, when they finished their set, everybody was up, everybody was standing, interesting to kind of hear Midnight in Harlem be played to such a quiet audience, right? Where, almost felt like maybe it was, it was a show in Japan or in Europe, where you're used to, when you hear those, recordings, it's, you could almost hear a pin drop, throughout the whole song, where the TTB, when Susan sings Midnight in Harlem, there's big eruption. I mean, there was certainly a huge applause for Derek's solo in Midnight. It was obviously incredible as usual. And then into I Want More, into Beck's Bolero. And again, I couldn't tell from the crowd how many people knew what he was playing there at the end. I couldn't really tell. But when they left the stage, I mean, everybody was standing. I mean, it just seemed to build after each song. It really did, and it just built. And I don't know. Ann and I, we just felt like a sense of pride in our belief in the band, and felt so happy for this opportunity for them, that came, at the last minute. However it came, I don't know if there's, I know there's been talk of some new management with TTB, and was there a link somewhere there with the Eagles and that, or stealing, how, I don't know how it came about, but just so happy for them to, to get an opportunity to play to a big audience, that wasn't their audience. Right. And, I mean, they just killed it. I mean, we get into Saturday night, I'll tell you a couple of stories that, about what we heard from some people that had never seen the band before, that we knew and had tickets for the Eagles all along, and didn't even know that TTB was going to be the opener. And they actually called and reached out to us today to tell us about their experience. That was pretty cool. But, I mean, it just was such a proud move. They looked like they were really having fun. I thought the sound, I mean, I kept saying to Ann, and I said, the sound sounds so full. I mean, it's a big building, and it just sounded so full, and having the screens and everything up there, it just, I mean, the exposure for them was just, phenomenal. And you saw where we were sitting was over off to the side, and we happened to be very fortunate that the band came out on that side, and they kind of went down the stage is a little elevated, and they kind of came down the steps, and there where you see the railings,
Is
kind
this
of
Bobby right here? Bobby T's in the picture?
Yeah, I think that could be Bobby right there.
I
That
think
could be.
I
That's where
think
he was
that's
working
probably
his
him.
his magic and everything. The Eagles were I guess their crew was underneath the the black kind of tent setup there. But when the band came off, they kind of came off the stage, and we were kind of standing up above there, and a few of them kind of saw us up. We waved down, and they kind of looked up and saw us, and you know, it was just like, wow, some familiar faces, because they were playing. I mean, I can't imagine there was anybody in the front rows that they could see when they were playing that they would say, oh, hey, there's a TTB fan, that we've seen, at the Beacon, or we've seen it, Red Rocks or whatever. You know, it was pretty much a bunch of strangers. Like I said, we had maybe a dozen friends, and we were all scattered, side stage, upper deck, back, middle, different places like that. So it wasn't like you had a big group of friends up front or something like that. So it was just nice to be able to see them. And yeah, Bobby was kind enough to hand us the set list after the show. And I just quickly said to him how full I thought the sound was in a big building. And, what a incredible job they did on, like I say, maybe 3 days notice, 2 days notice. I guess I don't know exactly when it all came together, but seemed like it came together on Monday and they were playing on Thursday.
Was when you got the set list, was that after the TTB finish or after the Eagles at the end of the whole night?
No, after TTB.
Right.
After TTB.
You went down to closer to the stage
we went
area
down
or
just
something
to
like
kind
that.
of wave when they were coming off the stage, and then we just kind of stood there, and I mean, Bobby and Chris and I mean, they were working hard to get all their equipment off for the
Sure.
Eagles. I mean, they were hoofing it. There was a lot to be done to to get TTB stuff removed so the Eagles could get on, I guess, as soon as possible. But we were patient, and when they finished, I don't know, it took them 15, 20 minutes. Bobby did kind of come over and said, really appreciate y'all coming, and handed us a couple. It wasn't like usual where you're fighting for a list with 100 people or 50 people up at the front. There weren't people necessarily clamoring, so we were fortunate, and he just handed us two of them. So we just each had one, so took a shot. That was just right out, during the set break right there is when we took that picture.
Yeah, well, you never know. Like, I mean, how many people in this arena? 15,000, 16, maybe more. I don't know. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but thousands and thousands. So obviously, you're going to have a handful of TTB fans. So you never know who's going to run to the stage. I like how you describe the crowd, or that a couple of individuals saying, that weren't previously, knowledgeable about TTB, who were blown away. Because I don't even know if that's the intention of the opening act. The opening band, they're supposed to be warmed up. Isn't that really what it's about? It's almost like you're supposed to be warmed up for your main act, but you're blown away by the opening act, which I thought was a pretty cool thing to happen, and way for you to describe it. And it's almost like, I don't know if you'll agree with this, and it's not a perfect analogy, but it's a little bit like seeing your favorite team on the road, a little bit like that. Like, you don't know the crowd, you're not familiar with the crowd. Everyone's there to kind of support, not the thing that you're really there for. But at the end, maybe, I mean, obviously the visiting team doesn't win people over, but they can. There can be performances by a visiting player that will win over the home fans and have them be appreciated. So something like that is kind of like this.
No, I don't think that's far-fetched at all.
And also, when you go to a road game to see your favorite team, a lot of the time you're not going to know anyone there. You're not going to know any of the other fans, or very few of them. And in this case, which is a special case, of course, where you have, somewhat of an acquaintanceship, borderline friendship with various members, to different degrees with various members of the band. So it's like they're the only. I've had that experience where it's like, oh, I don't really know anyone here except for the band, kind of, sort of, in a way, which is kind of a cool thing in itself. So it's like, really does feel like you're on the road, not in enemy territory, but in foreign territory to some degree. Which is fun.
No, you're right. It is kind of foreign territory, and there's people posting on Facebook and stuff, and like you said before, oh well, the Eagles should be opening up for TTB, and they're gonna blow the Eagles away. I mean, respectfully, I mean, you just read the Eagles started in '71. Okay, I mean, we stayed. I've seen the Eagles a few times. I hadn't seen them in a long time because I thought their ticket prices had gotten kind of wacky. They do kind of play, note for note, what their songs are. But those people were there to see them. I mean, all but a handful were there because they bought tickets to see the Eagles. Now there could have also been some people that bought tickets to see Steely Dan. I mean, they're huge, right? So there could have been people to do that. So, did TTB, upstage the Eagles or anything? Not as far as that crowd was concerned, because that was an Eagles crowd, right? Again, like you're saying, when you're you're in an away game, right? I mean, they can respect the other opponent, but they're still there for their team, right?
Right.
So,
it's
yeah.
I was gonna say it's not terrible, but it's not so much that like the Eagles were going to be blown off the stage, or the crowd was going to shower TTB with more love than the Eagles, because it was an Eagles show all along. But I think what I'm like kind of remembering is that story about like, Dead and Company following TTB at some festival, and that's where maybe you run into where it can be hard to follow certain acts and hard to follow TTB when it's a festival crowd.
Yeah.
And everyone is there for kind of all different things and different reasons and different acts. So it wasn't like the Dead and Company crowd. Everyone's there for whatever the act may be. So it's like,
yeah, that's
the
a
crowd's
perfect
more
point.
open. Yeah,
perfect point. But again, I think they were very, receptive, appreciative. I mean, Don Henley got up there and after a few songs, he said, we really want to thank Tedeschi Trucks Band, and he said something like, "It doesn't get any better than that." So that was his comment about TTB. So thought that was pretty amazing. That he said that about the band. There were no collaborations. Derek or Susan, no one was asked to come out. I kind of threw out there maybe. Joe Walsh maybe sitting in with TTB. We've seen pictures of Derek when he was very young with Joe Walsh or something. So that was the only place I was kind of, thought maybe we might have a smidge of an opportunity. But I did think was interesting through the Eagles set. I felt like the 4 Joe Walsh songs got the biggest applause of the night from the Eagles fans. I thought that was interesting. But I mean, we knew the lyrics to everything they played. They're all just, if you grew up in the 70s when we did, the 70s and 80s, I mean, those songs were just played on the radio over and over. And you think about the TTB set, those type of fans that mostly were Eagles fans, 70s and 80s. And then there were certainly, a newer generation, some younger people there, but a lot of older people. And probably the only song they would have heard on the radio would have been Bell Bottom Blues, right? From the TTB set would have been probably the only song that they would have said, oh, I know that song, right? So they were hearing stuff, most of it probably the first time they'd ever heard those songs. And it just, it sounded so great. It was amazing. I hope they don't go totally to arena shows, but they certainly, sound wise, musicianship wise, they certainly could.
I think we'll see more of it, but not. I think we'll continue to see a mix of different types of shows. I like how you describe, or you mentioned how Don Henley said it doesn't get. What did you say? It doesn't get better than that. Is that
yeah?
It's
something like it doesn't get any better than that. When he said,
and it makes me
thank TTB. Yeah.
And it just makes me think how much respect Derek and Susan and this band has from their colleagues and fellow musicians in the industry, in their genre, in their world of music. And that's something I often like cite when I'm like trying to describe Tedeschi Trucks Band to someone who doesn't know the band. I'll say, oh, Derek played with the Allman Brothers doing the Allman Brothers, or I'll mention Susan's solo career, something like that. But I'll also say that, like, I'll just straight up say they have a lot of respect from like the music industry. Everyone in the music industry who's anyone like knows who like Derek Trucks and Susan Tedeschi are. And if you need slide guitar like on your record or something like that, Derek Trucks is probably the number one. I shouldn't even say probably. I can't even believe that I just said probably, but like he should be
Right.
the
top of your
number
list.
one. Yeah, at the very top of your list. So yeah, it's just one more like, quote from a fellow musician who doesn't need to say that. He doesn't need to say that. He could say, thank you very much. Wasn't that great?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. We
And
appreciate
no one would
stepping in or whatever, he could have
Yeah,
been anything.
and that would have been fine, and we wouldn't even notice. But what does he say about the other? What does he say about Steely? Does he say that about Steely Dan?
Yeah.
We'll have to find it. We'll have to find out. I'll do some research on
when
that.
When Ann and I were talking about that comment, it made me think back to one of the shows that we saw at the Ryman in Nashville a few years back, and might be more than a few, but some folks might have seen some of the video. Wynonna Judd sat in with TTB for a couple of songs, and she made the comment something to the effect of, "This is real music for real people." And I thought, again, just, kind of, is it a peer? It's somebody in the industry. It's somebody that knows, knows music, knows quality. And that was kind of her comment. So, like you say, people that know music and know quality and musicianship, certainly have, I think, the utmost respect for our favorite band.
And of course, BB King echoed something similar at the
the
Hollywood Bowl show, playing with Derek and John Mayer at that show, and I was there for that one as well. Yeah, it's just like they earned it. It's like it's deserved, all these compliments and kind words from their colleagues in the business.
Well, I got to give the Eagles and their management credit for asking such a quality band, knowing that they are going to be putting on one hell of a show right in front of them, right? It's not going to be a warm up. It's going to be, in your face, get to it. You're going to love this, right? You're going to love it.
What I was going to say before, it's not so much that we take Tedeschi Trucks Band for granted, but we certainly are spoiled and certainly are used to listening to such amazing music. And I think we often forget that obviously the Eagles fans were not as familiar with, at all with Tedeschi Trucks Band music. But even like Wynonna Judd and like maybe the Eagles themselves, like they're not listening to Tedeschi Trucks Band, and even Trey when he plays with Derek, they're probably not. He's not around it as much as you are. You're around Derek and Susan more than Trey is, and going to more shows. I'm listening to them 24/7. He's probably doing his own things. All these musicians are doing their own thing, focusing on their own thing. Obviously, they listen to music on the tour bus and stuff, but we're less caught off guard by how awesome Derek and Susan are. And even so, more than professional musicians who play on stage with them, you could see it in their faces, in their reactions, how they introduce or how they thank the band after they perform their set and stuff, like how they are sort of like not pleasantly surprised, but like floored, blown away, probably better terms.
Yeah. I mean, we are fortunate, spoiled to have been to see this band in so small places with beautiful sound, and we've been very, very fortunate. And like I say, just so happy for them to be able to share their music with a whole new audience, right? It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I'm thinking back. I mentioned that I saw the Who on that property in November of '73. I was 14 years old, and a up and coming band called Leonard Skinner opened for them, and lo and behold, 6 months later, Leonard Skinner was the hottest thing in music after they opened for The Who. The Who put them on tour with them. I don't know how that came about, and they became probably the hottest thing going the next year. They came out with Second Help Me Sweet Home. I mean, they were all over the radio. They were booking, headlining shows within the next, 6 months to a year, and The Who, took a chance on a Southern rock band, a band from England came over here and put a Southern rock band on tour with them, and look what happened.
The nature of how a band becomes popular and successful, whatever that means, has certainly changed since 1971. But there is obviously a lot of value in going on tour with a higher profile act if you're a lesser high profile act, to whatever degree that is, as an opportunity to gain exposure, more fans. And even obviously with social media and the internet, that just feeds into that. Like, oh, let me follow them on social media. And then like you're a fan and you're following them, you're writing, boom, you're crazy Tedeschi Trucks Band fan.
Back in 73, you had to go out and buy, you would have had to go out and buy Leonard Skinner's first album to find out who the heck they were, right? You couldn't do it on social media. There weren't all the outlets there are now, right? Like if somebody was turned on to TTB, over these last two shows, I mean, the TTB world is their oyster. They can find anything they want on that band and can just be into it just like that. Back in the early 70s, it took a lot of work to dive in and find out more about a band, right?
Right. Should we look at Saturday's set list? Just take a quick glance at it. Playing with My Emotions, Ain't That Something? Do I Look Worried? I Am the Moon, Keep on Growing, Just Won't Burn, Gilded Splinters, Bound for Glory. Before we get into this, I just want to mention one other thing about the other set list, because we were talking about the choices, and they could have easily slid in maybe a cover more or two just to appease the Eagles fans, because if they I'm sure the Eagles fans would have appreciated a Keep on Growing or something like that, one or two more Allman or Derek and the Dominoes songs or something like that. But I think they struck a right balance with it, because again, like obviously part of wanting to get new fans is exposing them to your music. And I think in this set list that we're looking at, or from your night, I'm sure it just revved up. Like they could have picked the songs out of a hat. The energy, I'm sure, in the crowd was just going to have that same build throughout the night, whether they played 2 covers or 3 covers or whatever the case may be.
Well, this again, the fear of missing out, boy, that Ann and I weren't there Saturday night. I mean, this set list is pretty spectacular. If you're asking me, this is pretty spectacular. Again, we had chatted with some friends here, and they could have played the same set both nights. I'm sure there was very few carryover, on the Eagles side of it, right? That they were going to 2 shows because it's the exact same show, right? So you're not, you're probably not plucking down, 2,500, for 2 nights of the same exact music, right?
Do people who follow bands, like, because I know like a band like just off the top of my head, like Fish or Pearl Jam, who have followings that people travel for, those band set lists will vary from night to night. It's in a similar manner, from what I understand, to like what Tedeschi Trucks Band does. But like this is more of a thing probably with even older bands, is that they are playing relatively the same set lists, from night to night. Are hardcore fans of those bands following them in the same manner, or wanting to go to multiple shows in the same way that like other fans of other bands?
I would have to say, I think not. I certainly don't know the definitive answer, but I would think not. Again, you're plucking down a lot of money to see the exact same show over and over again. I don't think they do. And again, so fortunate with TTB that they just always are mixing it up, right? I mean, again, Derek, they could have put out the same set on Saturday night, would have killed it, but it could have. But, instead he threw out, 7 of 8 different songs, and again, to me, both sets, showcase the band, right? So both great representations of our favorite band, right? Both of these.
I wonder if, obviously we kind of talked about how like people were there to see the Eagles, love the Eagles, but I can't help but wonder if of any fans of the Eagles who were there for the Eagles who did go both nights, I'm sure they made the observation, but maybe they developed a deeper appreciation for the fact that TTB had such variety in their sets. And then they came to the conclusion like, oh, maybe, this is a band that I should, just became a bigger fan of the band and appreciative of them because there was such diversity and variety and stark contrast from night one to night two, other than Playing With My Emotions, which I guess is the it song, so to speak. Lately, it's getting a lot of
well, what was so Ann's sister and brother-in-law went Saturday night. They had tickets for the Eagles long time ago, and they had reached out at some point, I think, to Ann and said, and I think Ann's sister said, my husband Howard, he's really looking forward to Steely Dan, and she had to break the news that they weren't going to be seeing Steely Dan on Saturday night, that you're going to be seeing our favorite band, Tedeschi Trucks. And she texted Ann this morning. What did she say, Ann? What was it?
She's incredible.
Her text to Ann was, she's incredible.
Referring to Susan Tedeschi, I'm
exactly.
going to assume.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly. She goes, she's incredible. That was the 2-word text that Ann got from her sister this morning. So that was so awesome to hear that. And then another friend of ours who went with some friends who again had Eagles tickets, didn't know diddly about TTB, called me this morning and said, unbelievable. And her comment was, there was 4 of them together, and all of them were talking amongst themselves about how much they were blown away by seeing TTB. And she had the observation, again, I wasn't there, that the crowd was exceptionally into them on Saturday night. So it just was, hearing this from people that had never seen the band live before, don't know any of their songs. As a matter of fact, the gal that I spoke to this morning, I said, well, are you familiar with Keep On Growing, Derek and the Dominoes? I said, Gilded Splinters. She goes, I didn't know any of those songs were covers. So they thought everything that they did was original, just.
And in a lot of ways it is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, Keep On Growing is one of my favorite covers that they do. Bound for Glory is, I'd be hard pressed to say that's not my favorite original, by the band. So, I mean, what it says, I mean, Susan Just Won't Burn. I mean, do I look worried? Could that be, Derek's most incredible solo? I don't know. It's certainly up there. Right. So, I mean, this list is just, for me, packed with a lot of my personal favorites. So, I mean, it just had to be amazing. As you know, Adam, we talked to a couple of our Atlanta friends that were at the show, and they were not comfortable coming on and speaking, in front of 2 or 2,000, however many people you have that listen to these. If I'm on it, it's probably 2. When you don't have me, you probably have 2,000 people listening to these things, because you do such a great job and sharing the love of this band. But it looks like, I guess at some point, maybe right towards the end there, Derek or someone made a decision to flip up from Made Up Mind to Bound for Glory. 2 of my favorites, and maybe it turned out that they had a little more time, that they wanted to use all hour or whatever they had. I don't know when that choice was made, but I mean, that set list right there, pretty damn good. And we talked about it. I mean, to pick 8 songs, whew, that's a tough ask to pick 8 songs. I think there was we were listening. You mentioned some of the interviews with Susan's been doing with the 25th anniversary of Just Won't Burn, and she even made mention on one of them that Derek's pretty much the the number one driver of the set list. There's other input. I will say I did find exciting to me, and I have to say, if I had 1 ounce of the word's not disappointment, 1 ounce of something that would have done a little different, is that Mike did not have a lead sing on Thursday night. So it was nice to see Gilded Splinters on there Saturday night. Mike being able to come down front and sing. And I love the way, they pass around the vocals to all of them, and some of the chorus there and everything.
Keep on Growing. He has parts also.
Yeah.
Some
But he usually doesn't come down front for that. So it was
Right.
nice. Again, I mean, I think, they did a tremendous job of putting together 15 different songs for 16 slots. I mean, just amazing. And I know people have go on. There's a few videos out there, and to see, I don't have we were on the side to have a real good picture of, the Tedeschi Trucks Band kind of logo that was just burning bright on the big screen behind them the whole time. Was so cool. Susan had a gorgeous dress on Thursday night. I think it's fairly new. I think might have seen it on one of the shows from Japan. I don't know that Ann and I had seen it before. We were talking about it, but just gorgeous. Elizabeth was dressed amazingly. Alicia. I know that Ephraim was not there Saturday night. I don't know, why. I just was surmising that, these shows were done at the last minute. Maybe he had something with his family or something that was already planned. I don't know. But Ephraim did not play
There he
with
is.
them. And I think it's his birthday.
I was going to say happy birthday, Ephraim.
Yeah, happy birthday,
The band posted this picture, and that
Yeah.
it was his birthday.
But he was not at the show Saturday night. I was told and saw from the videos. So they had 12-piece on Thursday and 11 on Saturday. And I know we talked a little bit offline, but a couple of stories after the Saturday show that I think are worth mentioning. Like I said, Ann and I were up in the North Georgia mountains. We were a few hours away, and I got a text from one of my buddies. I mentioned there's a lot of great little clubs that play great music here in Atlanta. There's Blind Willie's. There's Smith's Old Bar, and probably the oldest of them all is the Northside Tavern, which is kind of home of the blues in Atlanta. They put on free music during the week. They charge a $10 cover on Friday and Saturday, and they have some are local acts, some are a little bit more national. There's a young fella named Cody Matlock, plays great guitar. He's from outside of Atlanta, just unbelievable player. And so he was playing Saturday night at Northside, and kind of a connection there is Brandon has played with Cody over the years, has played some bass with him. And I don't know if that had something to do with it or not, but my buddy texted me late Saturday night, almost Sunday morning, that Derek, Susan, and most of the whole band walked into Northside Tavern after the show Saturday night, and so they were hanging out at Northside Tavern. I heard that Kebby got up and played some saxophone with Cody Matlock's band, and that they were hanging out, drinking and checking out some local Atlanta music. So I thought that was really, really cool. Really cool.
And I saw that, I think it was Big Bob T's posted something with the band doing a private gig. I think on Friday, I believe it was, in Florida, in the Keys, in the Bahamas, some tropical place. They did a show Thursday in Atlanta, flew somewhere tropical. Friday did a show. I think maybe might have been all 12. I don't know. I guess I don't know for sure about that.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm sure Derek and Susan were there. and then back to Atlanta for Saturday's show, opening for the Eagles, then playing. You know what it is? Maybe they weren't getting their. Well, they always, if they can, or all the members of the band like get excited, it seems like, to play these late night gigs. So I was going to say maybe they didn't get their fill just merely opening and doing these hour sets. So they have to play more, but they always want to play more. It seems like they're always wanting to play more with different people in these different venues and late nights in cities, of course.
Yeah. So Kebby sat in. I think I was told none of the others played, just kind of hung out and enjoyed the vibe. I will say this: on Thursday night when we were at State Farm, after their set, we did see, down below, you can see where Bobby was and everything, that there were a number of the band members that did come out and listen to portions of the Eagles set. I think I saw that Gabe, maybe, I don't know if it was Saturday night or something, he posted something on Facebook or something, a little bit of one of the songs. And so I know, I saw some of the band taking in some of the Eagles music. So, I think they saw value in checking out some Eagles as well being there. So that's kind of cool.
Cool. Anything else we need to cover about the shows? TTB. What's next for you? What's your next shows?
Next shows for us will be the Beacon. Right. I think the Beacon. So I'm assuming they were on their way to New Orleans today, right? Aren't they tomorrow? I think they're doing something with that cruise or something, if they're coming into port or something, or I think they're doing something with the, I forgot exactly. I don't know if that's a blues cruise. I'm not sure what the name of it was, but I think they're doing something in New Orleans.
The Big Easy cruise tomorrow.
Yeah.
The
Big
Easy cruise
I think
New
they're
Orleans.
doing something with that. I just say again, so happy for the band to get something like this at the last minute. Such, to expose, so many people to their great music. I just feel very happy for them. Feel good for the band that this came about. So I hope they got out of it, what they were, hoping to get out of it, because it certainly looked like they were having a good time and happy about it.
I think it's too late to book my cruise leaving out of New Orleans for tomorrow. Booking for the Big Easy Cruise 2023 is now closed.
Yeah, the cruise has already started, Adam. The cruise is already.
I'll meet them. I'll meet them at the.
Yeah.
That's what they do. These entertainment, they can meet the cruise. They fly into the whatever.
I'm not actually sure I don't know if they're performing on the ship or on shore. That the people. I'm not sure how. I really don't know. Don't know exactly what's happening there. But yeah, we're going to do the 3 nights at the Beacon. We were fortunate enough to grab some tickets. Those were a tough get. As always, that's a tough get. And then they've got that new thing they're doing in May. I know that was a big thing on the
Australia, not Australia. You're talking about something else.
The thing in Florida,
Miramar Beach.
Yeah, Sun, Sand, and Soul something. That's a new thing for them. That group is amazing. You probably saw people posting this Topeka that puts on some shows down there. Best customer service ever. I mean,
I'm on their site now also.
Totally different than dealing with a Ticketmaster or something like that.
Wow.
Great people. It was I know there was a lot of buzz about it on, some of the fan pages. And I know a lot of big time fans gobbled up some of they sell it by coves, 2, 4, and 6 person. So it's
I see.
Similar to the, what happened with Pods or whatever at COVID or whatever, but it's a really cool venue. Ann and I have actually seen a show down there. We saw TTB down there for one night a couple of years ago. Really cool venue. Like I said, I know a lot of people bought tickets to that through the fan club and everything, and telling everybody you're gonna have a great time. Those 3 days down there is gonna be a blast. And who knows, maybe that'll lead to them doing something like Government Mule does, right? Take us, have us all go down to Mexico or somewhere for 3 or 4 nights. And, TTB plays every night and has, a lot of their friends down there playing or something. Who knows? Maybe it's a precursor to that or something. I don't know.
That's almost that's like it's like a residency, but a vacation residency. What would you even call that? What do you call that type of a show? A destination? It's obviously all sorts of destination shows.
What do you say? A musication? A musication?
Yeah, basically.
Musication. I don't know.
Something like that.
But
That
sign
sounds.
us up.
That sounds kind of intriguing.
Yeah. I mean, again, I know there were people all over the country that were talking about it online and booking stuff there. We picked up with 2 other couples that we've known for a long time and traveled with. So we've got 6 of us in one of those coves for the 3 nights. And TTB's playing, I think, the first and the third night. And there's Blackberry Smoke on there, Dwayne Betts, some other people they've played with in the past. So I think it's it should be 3 fun days down there in the panhandle of
So
Florida.
you're there for all 3.
Well, you can buy. I think you can buy one night or.
But
something.
you're going to be there for the whole thing.
Yeah, we're gonna do the whole weekend. Absolutely, we're gonna. It's about a 5-hour ride from Atlanta down to that area, so we will. So we got the 3 shows at the Beacon, and then the 2 shows down there. I think that's, and just waiting to see. Or I know people are asking, are they going to do, the Ryman? Are they going to do, DC?
The West Coast?
Are they West Coast? Adam, you're gonna have to move, man, if you want to see.
Well, I'll be at the Beacon shows.
All right,
so
there you go.
I'll be at all 3 of those, so I'm excited for that.
That's gonna be awesome. Well, look forward to seeing you there.
Sounds good, my friend. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening a little later on the East Coast. But thank you again for the recap, and we'll have to do it again. Do it again soon. Talk more TTB. The tour schedule is a little light for the rest of this year in 2024, but there'll be things to talk about. There'll always be TTB music to listen to and talk about. That's for sure, and things happening.
Always a pleasure to see you and talk with you, Adam. And I will get Jeff Fink. Look at that.
Comment. I got a code for the weekend as well.
Yeah, baby. We look forward to seeing you, Jeff. Always look forward to seeing Jeff at the shows. Always love seeing him. But I was going to say something else. It made me think of something else, and then Jeff pops that. But
it's all good.
But yeah, there's always good stuff to talk about. I am going to post. I do have a few of my Facebook Live videos. I did 4 of the 8 songs for Thursday night. I'll put those up on my my YouTube channel when I get a chance. So I will plug those up on there.
Yeah, you had. I think I saw you. I was watching live. Well, I caught in the middle of it live, and then I went back and I saw it anyhow when they took the stage, and you could really hear the crowd, reacting and whatnot, and you could hear it's like it doesn't quite sound like it's a TTB show, of course, but but by again the middle of the song or whatever, everyone's totally engaged and you're hooked into it. But again, thank you, and let's talk soon, my friend.
Thanks, Adam. Take care.
Oh, you got it. Peace. So there you go, episode 133 with David Flamm recapping Tedeschi Trucks Band opening for the Eagles at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, talking Thursday night and a little bit of the Saturday show as well. Hope everyone's doing okay out there. Please check out @Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. Subscribe, whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. Subscribe on YouTube. AdamChoit.com for all my personal stuff. TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com. That will take you to everything for this show. TedeschiTrucksBand.com. That's their official site. Buy tickets to shows, buy merch, join the Swamp Family Club, join the Swamp Family, download the app rather as well. November 28th is Kofi Burbridge Remembrance Day. I think there's some volunteer slots available to be filled still for that in various cities. I'm sure there's links to that at TedeschiTrucksBand.com as well. Definitely want to be a part of that. But I think that's about all I got for today. Thank you for listening. I may try to do some more solo shows, perhaps recapping some of those different appearances that Susan and Derek have been making on various shows and interviews and talking about what comes out of those. That might be fun as well. But let's talk soon. Peace.